Yeah, Lumbo, I have a question for you about Michael Penix. A lot of the only downside we're hearing right now is his injuries, a couple ACLs. But do GMs still care about those if he's got 2 healthy seasons in a row and then looks super healthy at his pro day, running a 4.5 and I think 38-inch vertical? Like, obviously those legs are healthy. Will that still be a red flag on some teams' boards, though, going into this draft?
Well, that has nothing to do with the GM tone. So what happens is that you go to the combine and you go around the 7 tables, right? And the orthopedics from every team look at you. And then they put a grade on you, their grade on you. And it comes back to you a month later, 2 weeks later. The trainer brings it up to you and says, hey, a grade, we gave Penix a 4, which would be, a level where you couldn't draft him in the first round. Or we gave him a 2, which we could. And then you've got to work your way through it. And that's what we're going to see now is the first 2 weeks of April, people will be brought back into the building to get another medical, to get actually a hands on the player so the doctors can maybe enhance the grade to where you want to pick them earlier or keep the grade the same based on what you already think is. But no one, not even all the great mockers all over the country know what the medicals are on these players. And you have to factor that in, because they're all different for every team. And so that's going to be the real issue here is it's not about he's come back from the ACL. It's going to be, well, we don't think he's going to have a long career, or we don't think this is going to happen. The most ironic thing that has happened in my lifetime was we argued with the team doctors in Cleveland way back, me and Belichick, and they had Mo Lewis, the linebacker, for if he was out of Georgia. They said he had some kind of tumor on his lower body and he wouldn't have a long career. They wouldn't pass him on the physical. Okay, we had to take him off the board. We thought he was going to be a really good player. He's the player that knocks Bledsoe out, that creates the Brady dynasty.
Wow.
I mean, it just comes full circle, right? And so he had a long career. But when the doctors get into this prediction, they start saying,
that's a lot of judgment from doctors there. We don't think he's going to be able to run routes or be able to tackle.
Brett Veach told you about
Pat,
that.
Some teams have they're doctors, because remember, the draft is tied to money. So the draft is tied to an economic value, and that economic value comes with a tag based on the medical. And so sometimes, we couldn't take this guy at that position because the doctors think he's not going to have. Now, you can argue with them and you go back and forth, but they have the final say.
So you've seen, how many of these have you seen become professional athletes? Well, I've never seen this before, so you don't know shit. Imagine, I couldn't even fathom football people with a doctor in front of
it's like a mechanic.
How do you know? How do you know? The amount of you want your little thing?
Well, he's got this in his knee, and and it's rubbing on this, and it's coming to here, and it's going to have to do this, and blah blah blah, and it's going to be. But and look, I'm not saying they're wrong. I mean, look, we took players where we tried to challenge them in the 4th round, and a guy didn't. He didn't have a long career. They were right, so you got to kind of balance it, and that's why the doctors are independent in the draft room. They carry their own grade, and that grade translates to a value on where you can pick the guy. And I don't know. But here's what I will say about Penix. If Al Davis were alive, Penix would be his first round pick, without a doubt. Because no one throws the ball better on the 3rd level or down the field than Penix.
Yeah, he takes them too.
Yeah.
And at Rome Odunze, there was a lot of him in that highlight video right there. They were old school up there. If Odunze was one-on-one, the ball was going to him. Mm-hmm. Like that, it was. Yeah. Doesn't matter what the player was. I mean, that's literally that one right there. Like if he saw Odunze, if Odunze was all by himself and it was just a corner, they had a run. Even if they had a run on, it was like, nope, we are doing this. That's the amount of confidence that not only Penix had, but they had in Penix, that their entire offense had. Like he's run like a pro. Like he's played a lot of ball.
Yeah.
Like I think after getting to meet him and watch him and see how the team reacts to him and what they allow him to do, the responsibility that they give to him, it's like everybody around this guy has a lot of respect for him. Everybody. And I think that goes a long way in who's going to be the face of your franchise and draft as a quarterback as well.
You know what I think, too, about this draft, Pat, what makes it fascinating is it really it aligns with the notion of who coaches the player, okay? Like, who coaches? Who gets his hands on him? And we see this with Penix. He's at Indiana with Caden DeBoard. It was great. DeBoard left to go to Fresno, wasn't the same guy. He reunites with them in Washington. He's great. Bo Nix down at Auburn, not very good at Auburn, running the Malzahn offense. He goes to Oregon in that offense, and all of a sudden his career takes off. Caleb Williams was good at Oklahoma. He was good there. Jaden Daniels, Arizona State, really good for 1 year, got hurt, wasn't as good, goes to LSU, is great. I think that is the hidden sauce in this whole draft is who's coaching the kid and who is developing the player within the system that fits the player perfectly. That's where I think Houston did a wonderful job with C.J. Stroud, whereas Carolina did not do a very good job with Bryce Young. And I think there is why is there so many quarterbacks failing? It's because if you don't have harmony within the building, if the guy coaching them doesn't believe in what he sees and has a vision for him, it's over.